Cameroon is a country in Central Africa. It shares boundaries with Nigeria to the west and north, Chad to the northeast, the Central African Republic to the east, and Equatorial Guinea, Gabon, and the Republic of the Congo to the south. Its coastline lies on the Bight of Biafra, part of the Gulf of Guinea, and the Atlantic Ocean. Due to its strategic position at the crossroads between West Africa and Central Africa, it has been categorized as being in both camps. Cameroon's population of nearly 31 million people speak 250 native languages, in addition to the national tongues of English and French, or both. Early inhabitants of the territory included the Sao civilization around Lake Chad and the Baka hunter-gatherers in the southeastern rainforest. Portuguese explorers reached the coast in the 15th century and named the area Rio dos Camarões, Shrimp River, which became Cameroon in English. Fulani soldiers founded the Adamawa Emirate in the north in the 19th century, and various ethnic groups of the west and northwest established powerful chiefdoms and fondoms. Cameroon became a German colony in 1884 known as Cameroon. After World War I, it was divided between France and the United Kingdom as League of Nations mandates. France took 4/5 and the United Kingdom 1/5 of the territory, and both ruled it under mandate until independence in 1960 and 1961 respectively. The Union de Populations du Cameroun, UPC, political party advocated independence but was outlawed by France in the 1950s, leading to the National Liberation Insurgency fought between French and UPC militant forces until early 1971. In 1960, the French-administered part of Cameroon became independent, as the Republic of Cameroon, under President Amadou Ahidjo. The southern part of British Cameroons federated with it in 1961 to form the Federal Republic of Cameroon. The federation was abandoned in 1972. The country was renamed the United Republic of Cameroon in 1972 and back to the Republic of Cameroon in 1984 by a presidential decree by President Paul Biya. Biya, the incumbent president, has led the country since 1982 following Ahidjo's resignation. He previously held office as prime minister from 1975 onward. Cameroon is governed as a unitary presidential republic. The official languages of Cameroon are French and English, the official languages of former French Cameroons and British Cameroons. Christianity is the majority religion in Cameroon, with significant minorities practicing Islam and traditional faiths. It has experienced tensions from the English-speaking territories, where politicians have advocated for greater decentralization and even complete separation or independence, as in the Southern Cameroon's National Council. In 2017, tensions over the creation of an Ambazonian state in the English-speaking territories escalated into open warfare. Large numbers of Cameroonians live as subsistence farmers. The country is often referred to as Africa in miniature for its geological, linguistic, and cultural diversity. Its natural features include beaches, deserts, mountains, rainforests, and savannas. Cameroon's highest point, at almost 4,100 meters, 13,500 feet, is Mount Cameroon in the southwest region. Cameroon's most populous cities are Douala on the Wouri River, its economic capital and main seaport, Yaoundé, its political capital, and Garoua. Limbe in the southwest has a natural seaport. Cameroon is well known for its native music styles, particularly Makassa, Anjang, and Bikutsi, and its successful national football team. It is a member state of the African Union, the United Nations, the Organisation Internationale de la Francophonie, OIF, the Commonwealth of Nations, the Non-Aligned Movement, and the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. The Cameroonian coast was explored in 1471 by the navigator and explorer Fernando Poo, who was responsible for naming the Rio dos Camarões, River of Shrimps, which became Cameroon, French, Cameroon, English, and Cameroon, German. Europeans began trading with the local populations, starting with the Dutch and followed by the British and the Germans. The Germans occupied almost all of their Cameroon from 1884 to 1916. German-speaking missionaries from the Societas Apostolus Catholici, Society of the Catholic Apostolate, settled in the German colony in 1890 and offered education in German to those who wanted it, while at the same time opening village schools where local languages Tula, Bakwari, Iwundo, and Nguma, etc. were used. The German language exerted an attraction on members of urban Cameroonian society, who wanted to be able to communicate with the colonial power. In 1891, the German governor Eugen von Zimmerer attempted to impose Germanization policy on Cameroon in order to provide the administration with local managers who could speak German. Despite pressures exerted by the German colonial authorities, the missionaries continued to use local languages in their Christian evangelization. However, the First World War placed German Cameroon between two other major powers in the region, France and Great Britain. In 1916 German troops abandoned Cameroon to their two greatest rivals, France and Great Britain, and the Treaty of Versailles, 1919, contained a provision for the two to share the former Cameroon. In practice, French Cameroon, comprising 4/5 of the territory, was administered as a French colony, and British, or Western, Cameroon 1/5 of the territory was integrated into Nigeria as an English colony. Each of the colonizers would mark its Cameroon with its linguistic fingerprint by imposing either English or French on its colony. The British colonial administration, which wanted to minimize investment costs in its colonies, was content to incorporate its piece of Cameroon into the neighboring colony of Nigeria, which resulted in the creation of a colony within a colony. As a result, British Cameroon was delayed in both its social and economic development. Understandably, Anglophone Cameroonians in the British colony couldn't help but notice the considerable gap between the development in their colony and the situation in French Cameroon. In 1961, the independence of French Cameroon led to the question of borders with British Cameroon, borders which had never been established between the two colonies. There was a territorial vagueness between the regions that are now part of Nigeria, Northern Cameroon, or part of Cameroon, Southern Cameroon. For this reason the United Nations conducted a referendum in which the two populations concerned had to choose which country they wanted to join, the Federation of Nigeria or the Republic of Cameroon. The latter would then become a federation of one English and one French state. After a referendum in May 1972, Cameroonian federalism was abolished and the two federal states disappeared, replaced by a single centralized state divided into 10 administrative provinces, now called regions, of which 2 were English and 8 French. Understandably, the Anglophones in the English provinces felt that their rights had been betrayed because they had chosen Cameroon rather than Nigeria due to federalism and the division of powers and languages by territory. This constitutional change was adopted by a simple majority. It also heralded a marginalization of Anglophones due to more centralized power in Cameroon. More than 5 decades after independence, the unification of Cameroon in 1972 is being challenged and called into question by the Southern Cameroon National Council, SCNC, an Anglophone political party that campaigns for the secession of the 2 Anglophone regions and the creation of an independent state which would be called Ambazonia. In 2018, secessionist groups increased their violent actions against symbols of the state. For its part, the African press is concerned that an experienced guerrilla organization seems to be taking up residence in the Anglophone regions of northwest and southwest Cameroon. The press has also criticized the Cameroonian authorities for having made the decision to call in the army rather than engaging in talks with the Anglophone secessionists. On one hand, the armed rebel movements are in a power struggle with Yaoundé. On the other hand, the government does not want to negotiate with those it considers terrorists. However, this Anglophone crisis is the result of bad governance by the Cameroonian state, and the Anglophone minority finds itself caught between 2 fires, or in the words of Amnesty International, people are caught in the crossfire between the hammer and the anvil. Cameroon, in West Africa, is a mixture of desert plains in the north, mountains in the central regions, and tropical rainforests in the south. Cameroon, in West Africa, is a mixture of desert plains in the north, mountains in the central regions, and tropical rainforests in the south. Along its western border with Nigeria are mountains, which include the volcanic Cameroon Mountain, the highest point in West Africa at 13,451 feet, 4,100 meters. Cameroon is triangular in shape and is bordered by Nigeria to the northwest, Chad to the northeast, the Central African Republic to the east, the Republic of the Congo to the southeast, Gabon and Equatorial Guinea to the south, and the Atlantic Ocean to the southwest. Approximately 250 ethnic groups speaking about 270 languages and dialects make Cameroon a remarkably diverse country. The Republic of Cameroon is a union of two former United Nations Trust territories, French Cameroon, which became independent in 1960, and Southern British Cameroons, which joined it after a 1961 unsponsored referendum. The rainforests in the south of Cameroon are home to screaming red and green monkeys, chimpanzees, and gorillas, as well as rodents, bats, and a great diversity of birds from tiny sunbirds to giant hawks and eagles. A few elephants can be found in the forest and in the grassy woodlands, where baboons and several types of antelope are the most common animals. Waza National Park in the north, which was originally created for the protection of elephants, giraffes, and antelope, is full of forest and savanna animals, including monkeys, baboons, lions, leopards, and birds. After Cameroon became independent in 1960, the country began to prosper and the government built schools, helped farmers diversify their crops, and encouraged new types of businesses. The global sale of products, such as cocoa, coffee, and oil, helped boost the economy. This period of growth lasted for 20 years until corruption and the decline in the value of exports caused the economy to go into a recession. Now Cameroon relies on international aid organizations, as well as the sale of petroleum and cocoa to keep its economy stable. People with professional jobs usually grow and sell small amounts of crops. The economy depends a lot on the amount of money people can get from selling oil, tea, coffee, and cocoa. Because oil reserves may run out in the future, Cameroon is working to come up with other ways to make money. Tribes lived in Cameroon's highlands more than 1,500 years ago and began spreading south as they cleared forests for new farms. Cameroon's colonial name comes from the Camaros, or prawns, that 15th century explorers found in the Wuri River. Between 1884 and 1916, Germany united the southern and northern areas into a colony. Germany's defeat in World War I led to Cameroon's separation between France and Britain. The French tightly ruled the east from the capital, Yaoundé. The smaller British area to the west was ruled more loosely from Nigeria. Independence was achieved in French Cameroon in 1960. In 1961, voters in the southern portion of British Cameroon chose to join in a federation with the new republic, those in the north chose to unite with Nigeria. Cameroon's former French and British areas kept separate educational, legal, civil service, and legislative structures until a 1972 referendum adopted a national, one-party system along French lines. Music and dance are integral parts of Cameroonian ceremonies, festivals, social gatherings, and storytelling. Traditional dances are highly choreographed and separate men and women or forbid participation by one sex altogether. The dance's purposes range from pure entertainment to religious devotion. Traditionally, music is transmitted orally. In a typical performance, a chorus of singers echoes a soloist. Musical accompaniment may be as simple as clapping hands and stamping feet, but traditional instruments include bells worn by dancers, clappers, drums and talking drums, flutes, horns, rattles, scrapers, stringed instruments, whistles, and xylophones. Combinations of these vary by ethnic group and region. Some performers sing complete songs alone, accompanied by a harp-like instrument. Popular music styles include Ambasbe of the Coast, Asiko of the Bassa, Mangambu of the Bangant, and Samasi of the Bamileke. Nigerian music has influenced Anglophone Cameroonian performers, and Prince Nikom Barga's high-life hit Sweet Mother is the top-selling African record in history. The two most popular music styles are Makassa and Bikutsi. Makassa developed in Douala and mixes folk music, highlife, soul, and Congo music. Performers such as Manu Dibango, Francis Bibi, Mani Bile, and Petit Pays popularized the style worldwide in the 1970s and 1980s. Bikutsi originated as war music among the Iwundo. Artists such as Anne-Marie Enzi developed it into popular dance music beginning in the 1940s, and performers such as Mama Ahanja and Les Têtes Brûlées popularized it internationally during the 1960s, 1970s, and 1980s. Traditional sports include canoe racing and wrestling, and several hundred runners participate in the 40 km 25 miles Mount Cameroon Race of Hope each year. Cameroon is one of the few tropical countries to have competed in the Winter Olympics. Sport in Cameroon is dominated by football. Amateur football clubs abound, organized along ethnic lines or under corporate sponsors. The national team has been one of the most successful in Africa since its strong showing in the 1982 and 1990 FIFA World Cups. Cameroon has won 5 African Cup of Nations titles and the gold medal at the 2000 Olympics. Cameroon was the host country of the Women Africa Cup of Nations in November, December 2016, the 2020 African Nations Championship and the 2021 Africa Cup of Nations. The women's football team is known as the Indomitable Lionesses, and like their men's counterparts, are also successful on the international stage, although it has not won any major trophy. Cricket has also entered into Cameroon as an emerging sport, with the Cameroon Cricket Federation participating in international matches. Cameroon has produced multiple National Basketball Association players including Pascal Siakam, Joel Embiid, DJ Strawberry, Ruben Bumj, Christian Koloko, and Luke Mbamouad. The former UFC heavyweight champion, Francis Ngannou, hails from Cameroon. Thank you for watching this video.